Good morning, monsters. Welcome to Monsters on the Edge. We have a great guest on today's show. I want to get into that as quick as possible here, but I got some stuff to get out of the way first. As usual, we're going to start out with this because it's going to be longer. Guys, Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society, my team is featured in a new magazine this month article, so check this out.
Issues of 8 p.m. are out today. The latest Midwest edition of American Paranormal magazine, which focuses on paranormal phenomena and teams in Midwestern USA, is available beginning today. With special guests see First Paranormal on the cover, along with contributions from other esteemed researchers and writers. Meet featured paranormal investigators, Travis Dahlhauser and Chad Glover, co-founders of the Greater Rockford Apparition and Ghost Group. And Derek and Candy Slater, a husband and wife team who have set out on a fascinating journey into the mysteries of the paranormal. The Cryptids, Anomalies, and Paranormal Society team shakes up Wisconsin with their proven investigation methods and unique team dynamic. We also learn about the Lost Lake Monster in Indiana, gnomes in Iowa, and the superstitions believed to have been responsible for the Chicago Cubs' 108-year losing streak. So, check out the July 2023 Midwestern USA issue, available now to read for free online for a limited time, or buy it in print at www.paranormalzine.com.
Very cool. It is such an honor to be featured in the magazine, so you guys can go check that out online and go see all that cool stuff. Also coming up, guys, Sasquatch Con. Check this out.
Are you ready to uncover the mysteries of Bigfoot? Join us for SquatchCon Idaho 2023. This year, we're bringing the magic directly to your screen, or join us in person. Witness the world premiere of the enhanced Paul Freeman Bigfoot footage. Doug Hychek discovered a secret within this enhanced video you'll have to see to believe. Hear from an all-star panel of Bigfoot experts like Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum, Cliff Barackman, Brian King-Sharp, and Michael Freeman. But that's not all. Get exclusive online bonuses such as Bigfoot-themed wallpapers, a Bigfoot coloring book, an interactive Bigfoot quiz, Squatch Nut Field Guide, get a copy of the Freeman Bigfoot Files ebook, and more. Whether you attend in person or watch it live online, you'll be part of an unforgettable experience. Don't miss out on this unique opportunity. Secure your spot today. SquatchCon Idaho 2023. Step into the unknown.
I think that's really cool. Look at that. You can do a virtual conference now, and actually you can watch all the speakers and everything right online. Really cool. Looking forward to that event. Guys, On the Trail of Undiscovered Beasts, Season 1 is on Paraflix. That is all Bigfoot in Wisconsin. If you guys want to subscribe to Paraflix, it's like the Netflix of paranormal. You can get it for the first 3 months. You can get 10% off with promo code CAPS10. And while you're online, go check out our store, wisconsincaps.com. Click on Shop Our Store for all of our merchandise, hats, t-shirts, all that stuff. Anything that you can put our logo on, you can find it there, and share it and wear it and show your support for everything that Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society does. While you're online, head on over to our social media. You can find us at Wisconsin Caps at Patreon, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube, or WI Caps on Instagram. If you guys want to see us in person, we are going to be at MI Paracon coming up here in August. We are going to be at the Great Lakes Paranormal Conference in Glen Beulah, Wisconsin, September 22nd through the 24th. I will be doing a presentation on cryptozoology at the Kenosha Public Library October 6th. And we will be at CryptidCon November 19th or 18th and 19th, right before Thanksgiving. There, that's all the stuff for that. So if you want to show your support for the Untold Radio Network, check this out.
Hey, Untold Radio Network fans. Want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
Awesome, guys. Make sure that you check that out as well. All right, I think that's everything for my pre-show stuff. It got very long today. I don't know why. So we are getting set here for our guest. I have one last video and then we're going to get into this. Here we go. All right, guys, my guest today is RPG. He is a crypto-communicator who travels the world looking for the unknown animals with the help of known animals. He has a special interest in Bigfoot, which he believes is nomadic. There's words I don't know. Relictual, taxon. We're going to let him explain this. Oops, clicked the wrong button there. There we go. Words I can't pronounce. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, please welcome Ryan RPG. Welcome.
Let's get all those owls awake this morning. Come on now. Come on now.
Awesome. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you, Mr. Barnaby. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be here, sir. Awesome intro. I mean, there is so much cool stuff coming forward, and all those videos, super pro. So, super pro. Very awesome. It's nice to be here on the edge with all the monsters.
That's right. That's right. On the edge, where you find all the cryptids and creatures, and on the edge of everything here. So, oh man. There's a lot to get into here. I want to start with the very basics because, I mean, I'm familiar with you. I am a big fan of Bigfoot and Beyond with Cliff and Bobo and stuff, and I've heard you on there. And so here's something that I think a lot of people may not know, because a lot of these Bigfoot people that, you know, are familiar with the TV personalities and stuff, they don't realize, you know, until somebody makes it big that they've been doing this forever. And I thought it was really interesting that you were actually involved in finding Bigfoot. You were a producer on the show.
Yeah. The journey is long, my friend, long and weird. Like we'd have it no other way, right? But yeah, not to really deep dive on myself, but started out as the weird kid. Dad was military. We moved all the time. So spent a lot of time by myself and running from bullies until I got jacked and they started to leave me alone. And in that process, I just fell in love with facing my fears, you know, going to the woods, calling out to Bigfoot, running out into the middle of the field, yelling up at the sky at aliens, and then running back inside as fast as you can. And all these wonderful journeys. My brother and I decided to do a show called Monster Brothers, which if you haven't seen that, you want a real, you watch that and you're like, this is what Monster Hunting Show should be about. Because it's really about a good time, right? The odds of you running into something legitimately very minimal, and which is good. That's why they stay hidden. But you know, most of the time we're out there having friends, you know, fun with friends and making memories. But anyway, so my brother and I kind of put that on film. We almost made it. We did not. We became official Hollywood success stories because our idea was stolen. They say, you know, it's kind of like being a waiter. You're not a waiter till you drop a tray. So we got it ripped off. And at the same time, when we were doing pickups for Spike, they were like, all right, show us some more of this world, this very colorful, character-driven world of Bigfooting and cryptid hunting. And so we searched around through Hollywood, and one name came back to us, James Bobo Fay. They're like, you got to get this guy. He is you. He's just like you guys. He hasn't made it yet, so he's still kind of floating around, but also been in the business a long time. And so we got out. We did some pickups with him, shot some amazing footage, which I'll have to get back out. If you saw some of the stuff we did, you'd just be like, man, this is the funniest stuff that you could do with Bigfooting, but still achieve a legit investigation, you know? Anyway, long story short, our show didn't go. His show went. And after about a season, I think it was a season and a half, he called me up and he's like, RPG, what are you doing? You got to get on this show. There's a lot of knuckleheads on this show, and we need positive energy and we need good energy. Well, not too much energy because you can be annoying, but, you know, just You could come in at medium energy, Bobs, it'll just tell you how it is. You're breathing too loud. You're chewing too loud. Are you thinking? Because it's too loud. I spent a lot of time in a car with him. Let me tell you, that's a near-death experience the whole time. But anyway, yeah, I got on the show, and the thing that I like to say to people, like I couldn't say then, was I had just come off selling a show to MTV called Exiled. And if you want to watch a show that does good to the world, like you're like, reality TV is all BS and it's bad for us. Okay, maybe a lot of it is vapid and we should be focused on our own lives, than other people's. But this took indigenous teens, it took American teenagers, the worst we had to offer, and had them go live with indigenous peoples to help reprogram them. Because in my opinion, there's no such thing as a bad child or a bad person. You've just been conditioned, well, maybe there's a 1 in a million. That's, we should put that one down. But besides that, we're all just misguided. And we're all looking for love and attention and to be seen. And I took the worst American teenagers, those kids from my Super Sweet 16, the worst. You should never take them to be ambassadors. And we brought them over. And do you know how long it took for them to break down? I'm talking full tears, cry, anger, fist throwing, and then go, well, what do I do? And then begin to rebuild themselves as a functioning member of a community/culture. Do you know how long it took for the worst kids in America? Just take a guess. Random guess.
1 week.
Less than 24 hours.
Wow.
And what that says to me is that these kids, they all want attention. They're screaming out for purpose. But we don't have rites of passage in our culture anymore, which is something I think the Bigfoot people have. I think there are big rites of passage. We can get into that later. We don't have that. So we need to recreate that for our kids. Anyway, that show did that. And they came home, and these kids, if they were just going to mooch off their parents the rest of their life, guess what? They wanted to go to school. They wanted to get a job. They woke up and made breakfast. We're talking like wealthy parents bawling because they threw every piece of money they had at them, and it did nothing. You know what the kids needed? To suffer. They need to sit in their own misery and realize, I'm badass. I can do anything. I don't need someone to do it for me. And anyway, beautiful thing. So I came out to Hollywood thinking I was hot shit and I'm going to be king of this town. And I got, and nothing. If anything, they hated me for it. They hated that a kid that didn't go to school for it, that was just insanely passionate about the subject and everything, and can get it and can do anything. They didn't like me for that. And so I went all the way back to the bottom, and I happened to have friends there. So I went in wanting to be a supervising producer on the show. I wanted to come right in, helping run shit with my boy Chad. And they said no. So at this point in my life where I was at the top, a show creator, director, writer, just everything that you dream of if this is what you want. And I had to go all the way back down to production assistant, which for those of us that have done it, that's the lowest one. You literally run and get coffee. I need more toilet paper for my butt. Yes, sir, Mr. Moneymaker. I'll go get it for you, Mr. Moneymaker. So I started over, and I worked my way up on that show until I could produce it. So for those of you listening, don't ever, I don't know if I can swear in here, but don't ever effing give up on yourself. No matter who kicked you down, especially you're going to kick yourself harder than anyone's going to kick you. You stand right back up and you say, yes, sir, let me have another. And you march forward because, here we are today. And finding Bigfoot was the most wonderful professional part of my entire career, growing with those guys and traveling. And I mean, imagine getting paid to go to every Bigfoot hotspot essentially in the world. Oh my God. Like humble brag, right? Humble brag. I got to be there and do that. But yeah, I worked my way up and it was, I don't know, friends for life. I'm so psyched to see them. I'm going to get to see them all at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference this weekend, which is awesome. So yeah, sorry to ramble. It's a long story, but I've been doing it forever. I love it. I'm passionate about it. A little less passionate because I got so many kids now that they're draining the RPG's energy. They're all a bunch of little succubuses, but well worth it, right?
Awesome.
Well worth it. Yeah.
That's so cool. I love your energy, by the way. It's very refreshing and very motivational. That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I hope to bring that to the conference. That's, because it's a lot of sitting and it's a lot of it's lecturing, you know what I mean? But it's lecturing on stuff you're passionate about. So it's good. But I don't want to be the premier expert in any of this. There's so many people that are so much better at memorization and are even more into it that should be those speakers. But it takes a village, right? And I'm the kind of guy I'm simultaneously aware of everyone. I can pick up on people in the audience who's bored, who's not. You should see me and I saw you're doing a talk soon at a library. Those are my favorite because it's an intimate crowd and I can see everyone. I see the kids getting bored, so I bring them in. I see the older people starting to fall asleep, so I bring them in, and I love that. So I try to bring that to the whole conference and just make people feel good. Like, I feel good. I've been sitting still doing nothing for 8 hours, and this is wonderful, you know? So, you know, I give it my best.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Yeah. So I don't want to bring it down because I like I said, I love the energy.
Oh God, what is
So we fast forward here after finding Bigfoot, and I think for the most people got introduced to you during the first episode of Expedition Bigfoot.
correct? Yeah, I made
And
it. I made it. You know.
yeah, and that was really cool, you know, because seeing you on there, and then okay, these are the team that's going to go out, and I mean it. There's been two things that have really bothered me about that show,
Yeah.
and the first one was, well, I'll tell you the second one first. The second one was when the wildfires kicked him out. Like, to be that close and just, you know, we're finding all this evidence, we're getting all this stuff, and then you had to leave. Like, that was really hard episode to watch.
Sure.
And the other one was the first one, you know, with you.
Yeah. Yep.
Because here you are, you finally get the opportunity, and then it just all falls apart. And
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You sure? Sorry. Yeah, that was devastating because as a man, my two roads, right? I believe there's two parts to all of us, right? It's your family, or, you know, kind of your personal, and then whoever you are professionally. And my family was growing, and my professional had literally come to where, because I always wanted to be. I want to share this with everyone. I can make you feel excited about it. You know, if I can do one thing, that's about it. But I love it, and I want to do that for people. So they were coming together, and it was perfect. And you have to understand the whole backdrop to that. I had just come from a month abroad looking for the lost city of gold in the Guiana Highlands of South America. Like, if it's about travel and endurance and pushing it beyond what anyone else can do, I would put myself up against almost anyone in the world to go for it. I'm crazy. You know, I'm Azorean. That's Portuguese Islander, but with a mix of Irish and Native American, like, you know, the whole thing. Big orgy one day, and then boop, here I am. Hello, everyone. Let's have fun. But those two things, they came together, and yeah, it was very unfortunate. I think what I hit was like a perfect storm. Like, I don't want to believe it was infrasound, because if they're hitting me, I guess it would make sense. I'm open to it. At that point, I was talking about infrasound before anyone else was really saying anything about it. Like, yeah, maybe. So it makes sense they would hit me to say, yeah, stay back. You guys are too close. You shouldn't be filming here. We're not ready for disclosure yet, or whatever. But I don't like it, because I would never hurt anyone. I lift everyone up. You know, you could sock me in the face, and I'd still hope that you have the discovery of a lifetime. You know, life hits you with enough curveballs. We don't need to add to that, you know, that kind of chaos. So yeah, when that happened, man, it kind of rocked me. I believe I've been doing tooth work in Mexico, just because prices, they treat you great, you know, like you finish, and they send out in the drugstore, like, comes running over with a bag and a fresh sandwich. Hey, for you must be hungry. I'm like, I got my tooth done, I can't eat. It's wonderful, but I think I must have the combination of those two worlds abroad, mixing some water. I mean, we were on Mount Roraima. For those of you listening, look up Mount Roraima. It's one of the most spectacular places in this world. I mean, literally, be a cryptid hunter to travel, because if you end up having a sighting or something, it's just the most beautiful cherry you could ever put on your cake. But the travel is everything. And I mean, we're talking, you have to take multiple helicopters, including a high elevation helicopter. And as you're coming up and the waterfalls are cascading off the top of this thing, they're literally just becoming the clouds that you're rising to. It's just worth your money. It's worth your money, your time, and your heartache to get there. But yeah, so I'm badass, and at the moment where I needed all my badassery to like be there for me, and to take my step into a professional man, I fell so hard on my face that it's funny now. But let me tell you, we all deal with our depression, our PTSD, like things, because that's life. This one was hard. This one's hard because I can fail me. It's fine, because I can live in a box on the street corner, and I'll be up juggling, making people smile as they go by. But I let my family down, and that crushed me. Oh my God, that crushed. You know, anyone who out there is a parent, it comes with all this guilt anyway. You're like trying to do your best job, and you always make little mistakes. But anyway, that was horrible, and that set me back, because it would be a different world now, you know, like I'm fighting so hard to get into these conferences, to maybe get on there to do it when I wouldn't have to, you know. That's the show. It was Finding Bigfoot, and whether people like it or not, it's Expedition Bigfoot. And when that hits about 100 episodes, guess what? There will be a new one and a new chance for a new guard. So yeah, that stung. For people wondering, I'm fine. I'm literally, that was it. Now, I mean, that was it. So really bizarre, really bizarre. So I think perfect storm knocked me out. I wasn't supposed to do it for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know who's messing with me. Somebody's messing with me. And it's okay. It's okay. Talk about getting knocked down and make sure you get back up. That was the big uppercut that laid me out. But Ronnie getting on that show, he's a wonderful man. You know, your natural instinct is to hate the person that benefits from your failure. But I'm like, one thing that I want to talk more about as we go, and I'm sure you've got beautiful questions lined up, is how do you prepare to go into the paranormal realm, to hunt cryptids, go whatever you're into? Like, how do you prepare? And most of us just go. We just go. You know, I'm brave enough to be there. You know, that's what I bring. But there are ways you can train for that. You know, and that great failure is something that kind of woke me up to be even better at preparing and whatnot. But anyway, we'll keep going forward. But yeah, that was crushing, you know. But my kids will see that I never gave up, and that's inspiring. So good. Yeah.
I got a couple questions related to this from Lee here. Oops, I started the wrong one.
Yeah.
And she wanted to know, how long did it take you to get over what happened on the show, as far as like the actual physicalness? Because all we really know from the show is, you know, you got taken off and sent to the hospital. What happened after that?
Yeah, so I was miserable. I was up all night, and then I would puke right first thing in the morning, blah, blah, and then I'd feel better, and then it would just kind of come back again. It was really bizarre. I mean, I couldn't, one eye, I could only see the Matrix at some points. I was walking around. I mean, they should have left me on, because here's what I would have done. I would have fought through it, and it would have been amazing. If people knew what I was dealing with and how intense it was, but I was still getting my squatching done, how inspiring is that, right? I hope no one ever has to go through it, but I would have. But this is different. You enter the corporate world, and you know, that's where your lawyers and everything's going to be safe and this, that. And I don't know, man, I went to the doctors. I rehydrated because I was just up all night, like, you know, like, and I couldn't get anything down. And I came back, felt great. Actually went for a run that morning and was like, okay, I'm back. Maybe I was just like really dehydrated. You know, we were at elevation, traveling, all of that. And they just pulled me right in the room and said, hey, you got to go. I'm sorry. And I was like, whoa, wait a sec. You courted me for months and months. Like, they wanted me. They really wanted me. It wasn't just like, hey, if you want it. And then they wanted me. And then I took a hit, but it's like, do they not know who I am at all? Like, do they not know what I'm capable of, and that I'm an international producer that thrives off the challenge of travel and long, uncomfortable plane flights and all that? But no. And I said, well, I feel great. Like, you don't have, give me one more day. If I go to bed tonight and the same thing happens, then yeah, cut me. You know, I get it. I'll get on the plane. You don't have to say anything. Nope, that was it. Boom, boom, gone. Didn't even give me a chance. So for all that courtship, all that, I didn't even have a chance to recover. It would have been like, if I had gone multiple times to the hospital, you know what I mean? I was battling, fine. But I wasn't. And they were so concerned that I wouldn't be able to hack it. Let me tell you something. I got kids. I can hack anything. And from what they were gonna put us on that show, 2 weeks, I just got back from a month, most of it at elevation. Get out of here. Get out. You know, they didn't know me. They didn't know. So yeah, that stung and that burnt, but what are you going to do? You get on the plane, you just try not to cry in front of anyone in the airport, and you just go, you know, it happened for a reason. That's one thing everyone tells you right away. It's like 2 things you hear in Bigfoot. Did you find him yet? You know, and it must have happened for a reason. I'm like, yeah, well, right now I want to, you know, choke the tree to death. But yeah, that's it. And then after that, it faded out as quickly as it came on, and I've been great since. So I couldn't tell you, but I'm good. My kid's good, you know, and that's it, man. That's it. Just be prepared. It's going to come out of left field sometimes, right when you're at the pearly gates of your own personal heaven, right? And then, yeah. But super stoked for everyone on that show. Super stoked that it did have the long legs that Pete, the executive producer, told me. He's like, this is the show. I'm telling you, this is the show. I'm like, nothing will ever beat Finding Bigfoot. Come on. He's like, dude, this is the show. And I said, all right. Yeah, they got a great staff that makes the show. It's wonderful. Finding Bigfoot was, like I said, the most fun professionally I've ever had. If they had filmed behind the scenes, people would have been so in love with the art of filmmaking and TV that I think we would have inspired every child coming up next to go into that business. And I almost had a chance to then jump on the next team and ride that beautiful cryptid high off into the sunset. And that might be, besides letting my family down, the most disappointing thing, because you always hear me you'll talk to anyone. They'll tell you it was a marvelous time. It was, oh God, it was wonderful. Imagine being paid to travel and hang out with like-minded folk, spending most of your days in the woods. So anyway, yeah, that was, oh man, that was a bummer. But we're here. We're still going. Beard's still red. Not as good as yours, but it's there. Yeah, I had to wear a hat because I haven't gotten a haircut. I haven't done anything. Good Lord, kids. They'll kill you.
Have they had any talk about having you back on the show at all, or for like a guest shot or anything?
I think, yes, there's been like little murmurs, but that's from the cast itself. So no one from the top. But I think as it goes on and they have to get a little more creative and they see, well, this guy has been great ever since we canned him. It would make sense to bring me back. I was one of the highest rated people outside of Maria on that show. Like they did all sorts of tests. They either I'm going to be annoying to you with this kind of energy, or you're like, that's the kind of guy I want out there, because I believe like he isn't going to give up and he's going to have fun the whole time. I don't know. What kind of person are you, Barnaby? When we were doing Finding Bigfoot and we're standing out there and it's like 32 degrees and raining, and we had to be out there for 5 a.m. because moneymaker, that's when they're going to be coming through, and we're there and I'm there. And you look around and everyone, like, and I'm smiling. I'm like, this is magical. We're so obsessed with being comfortable that we forget that being uncomfortable is just as amazing, because it makes the comfortable so much more wonderful when you get there. And that will go back. Once again, we talk, how do you prepare for these things? If I'm a Bigfoot and I'm watching in the trees, and let's just say today's the day I'm going to we got to talk to them. We got to tell these humans they're screwing everything up. we got to start talking to them. And you look through that group of people, some smoking cigarettes, or they're snappy, and there's one standing there staring at a flower, smiling, going, wow, this just boom. Like, I would approach that guy. Maybe I'm a silly, peace-loving hippie kind of dude, but I'd approach that one, because that one seems to have a love of nature, which is why must nature only be enjoyed on a beautiful, sunny, beachy day, right? Why can't it be a powerful snowstorm or a light drizzle of rain on a freezing morning as you're watching the sunrise and literally the layers of moisture peel back from the land? I don't know, man. Lots of different types of beauty. I'd don't just pick one flavor. That would be my recommendation. Enjoy all of it. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. You're absolutely right. If you got this whole grumpy group of people standing there, you're not going to have the interaction as the guy that's out there just to enjoy it and look at everything. That's very good advice.
Very cool. Man. Dial in to me.
Yeah. I have interviewed Ronnie, and I do see a lot of similarities. You guys both have a lot of energy, and getting into some of the other stuff that you've done with the whole spiritual aspect of bringing this in, you guys are very similar, and I see why he ended up being the one that replaced you if they're looking for that kind of energy on the show. And so can you talk a little bit about, like you said, how you prepare and stuff like that? What is it that, you're bringing to the bigfooting, because you're not the average bigfooter that's just going out and looking for tracks and stuff. So how do you approach the topic?
Well, so my buddy Stacy Brown and I, we started a group with a buddy named James Brost as well, called Outcast Paranormal. And the goal of that is, okay, there are a lot of, we'll call them sharks, right? There are a lot of people who, like yourself, like just lots of wonderful people in the space that know the material, that could do it. But there is only room, as we know, there's one main show about bigfooting on TV. And there's a couple other things. There's like 6, a lot more ghost shows, but really there's only so much room in the pantheon for us, for all of these people who have the talent, the passion, the pizzazz to go do it. So the goal of Outcast Paranormal was to attract as many of those as possible and create kind of a movement, hoping that we garner enough attention that pantheon picks a couple of us to go up there, because what's good for one is good for the whole group, you know. And so the goal is to create, because here's where I'm really going for. So let's just be straight honest. There are people right now, if we're just talking about Bigfoot, that are cohabitating, and they know it, and they have something very special going on. We cohabitate here every summer when the wild weather comes through. We hear them. The missus has actually seen one. So like cohabitation's the key. And I believe if you create a big enough group with love and integrity and fun, eventually one of those people, like, you know, I'm hoping I go to this conference and it's just the quiet guy on the side who doesn't want to talk. It just comes over and says, "Hey, you want to take a ride with me? I think you'll really appreciate this." And that's where I'm hoping to get to. There are so many little beautiful spots. We just had our fourth baby on the 4th of July, and we named her Eden. And every day we talk about, like, we live in Eden. This is our little Eden. This is our beautiful spot. And you talk about the edge where monsters live, right? There's lots of those. And it would be absolutely incredible if I could make a friendship network that allows me to visit other people's with utmost respect and honor, and bear witness to some of the spectacular things that they're seeing on their land. And that doesn't just have to be Bigfoot, you know, it can be any type of relic hominid. It can be ghosts, you know. Some people have super active houses where you're like, what? How do you live here? Like, how do you live? The voice said, get out. Like, come on, it's pronunciating out. But I'm fascinated by all those things, like shedding light in the darkness, because you'll hear me in a lot of talks too, like fear. Okay, once again, so you're Bigfoot, you stand in the woods. Why do they have no problem going up to kids, right? Kids, because they're not afraid of them. For the most part, they're not. They're just kind of like, what is that, right? Where we are. So what happens when you're able to minimalize your fear, or at least remove it to where you can react, right? Because accidents happen. So something's going to happen and you're going to react the way you react. But leading up to that moment, you should be armored in love and wonder, like a child, just taking in the environment, being present to notice the little details, the little worm on the leaf, you know, the bird that just flew by and dropped one feather, because I'm trusting my gut, right? Another thing is I feel like everything that we've ever been taught is a lie to kind of keep us in this weird box where we just don't see the magic in the world. And there's magic all around us. So once you can kind of shed that and walk through, oh my God, then you start to notice the details. And to me, that is paramount to hopefully, and still with a high degree of luck, be able to spot an animal that does not want you to spot it. So if you're going in the woods and you're already distracted by, you know, what you got to do, what you did, you know, we're always doing this seesaw action, like just riding this guilt train. Like, I don't know why I feel horrible and I've got, you know, horrible gas. Well, you're ashamed of you and you shouldn't be. So anyone listening, nothing you ever did or will ever do is wrong. Right and wrong is an illusion. Now, you can operate within your culture in a way, and there'll be consequences if you do things that you know, are frowned upon, but there is none. So get rid of all that. Wipe it out. You are an animal on this earth, and you are learning as fast and as beautifully as you can. And that's it. You eliminate anyone around you and kick your own ass if you start coming down on yourself, because there is nothing wrong with seeing the world with big, beautiful owl eyes and trying new things. You know, like, yes, you can go in the woods, you can look for tracks. There are some things you should do. Those are part of it. But listen to your gut. Listen to that little thing, because you're going to go, what if I did this? You know, and it can be silly. Like one of the things I like take a basketball hoop, put it on a tree in the middle of the woods when you go camping, and have some rocks in a bucket, put it near it, and just throughout the day, throw them so it hits the board and falls through and into the bucket. Dink, 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 hoping that at night they've watched you and they come out, dink. All you need is one. All you need is one, right? So I would encourage people to keep their imagination and their hearts open the whole time, because it can be fun, and you don't want to limit yourself, because if there was somebody doing it right and like going out every time and getting Bigfoot or ghosts, then great. Then yeah, we follow them. They crack the code. But no one's done that. You know, no one is just in line with it, except maybe the people that are cohabitating. So you should kind of have two goals: stay open, as fearless as possible and as present, and also make as many friends as you can, you know, because that's really at the end of the day. We are a giant supercomputer, and the more friends you have out, one of them's going to have an interaction that comes flying all the way back to you, and hopefully you're available to go, right? I mean, that would be the great thing, to create a network where someone goes, it's happening right now, and somehow you're able to flush it out. I mean, that's basically what the BFRO is and stuff like that. So they get there as soon as possible, which is what Finding Bigfoot was great. We tried to get there. Anything current, we would try to squeeze it into the schedule. Anyway, I kind of meandered off there, but yeah, limit your fear and learn to be really present and fall back in love with nature. Make that your focus when you go out. And I think that love will guide you beyond the fear and to the pastures where they are, if they're there that day, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have to take a quick break here. It's only a couple seconds, and we'll be right back.
Show your support for the Untold Radio Network family of shows and join in on the conversation by using super stickers and super chats on YouTube. Got a question you want answered? Ask it live via a super chat and get real-time responses from our shows, knowledgeable hosts, and guests. Help keep the Untold Radio Network shows running strong. We need your support. Send your super chats and stickers now.
Speaking of, we had one comment here. I see when you were talking about James. James is going to be a guest on our show coming up here. And he says you have 6 toes.
I told him 7. I'm 7. Yeah. And if this wasn't a kid show, 3 testicles. All right. Really magical. I'm a leprechaun. I just, when you grow up under power lines and you drink too much milk, cow's milk, not human milk, cow's milk. Anyway, you get real big. Bigger than James.
You grow extra toes apparently too. So
yeah. They said something crazy that I just read it. It was like up until the age of 4 or 5, children, if they lose the tip of their finger, they can actually grow it back. Not confirm that, but I did just read that somewhere. I thought, wow, that's really interesting. Because I thought we had given up our ability to reproduce limbs in order to be able to fight cancer and to thwart off cancers and stuff. But anyway, that's kind of a deep dive hole. We don't need to go in right now, but fascinating.
That's another show. That's another whole show.
Well, you can keep going because apparently you could regress or train yourself to actually regrow out all your hair. So the whole Neanderthal theory that they're just Neanderthals, I mean, it kind of makes sense because you just need more protection. What's a great protection from mosquitoes? I mean, live in Florida. Hair, hair. But anyway, you're going to say something.
Yeah. So, back to kind of what you were talking about, looking at the whole world with wonder and stuff like that. I wish I could remember. I was trying to think of it while you were talking. Somebody that's out there researching has a way to go out there. And they tell people to practice this before you're going to go out to look for Bigfoot. And there's certain steps that you can do. And I can't remember all of it at this time. But one of them was like play little kid games, like Duck, Duck, Goose. Yep. And, just play. And you're supposed to lay and look up at the clouds for like 3 days straight, for like 20 minutes at a time and talk to the trees for 3 days and like talk to the animals for 3 days or something like that. And there was this whole process leading up to your expeditions and stuff that you were supposed to do all these little things, talking to the animals and the trees and the clouds and playing these kids games to put yourself back into that mindset. So when you go out there, you have these experiences because you're open and you're more one with nature and stuff. Have you heard that, or do you know who I'm trying to remember?
I don't, and I absolutely please, when you remember, get that information to me. I do my own steps, which have some of that in it, but that sounds like the PhD level of it, which is really awesome to have the time to. It sounds like is you're basically getting into a meditative state where you are at peace and you are back one with the forest, jungle, woods, wherever you're at. See, when we were on Finding Bigfoot, we're traveling around, we're doing our thing, and I'm there to learn because I've been doing it myself, but now you're with the greats, so you got to like try to learn from them. But we were doing the same thing, just going in the woods, trudging, and hoping that you knock it out of the park. But I don't know if these things are even a little bit smart, just a little. We're the easiest thing to avoid in the woods, right? For the most part. So I don't know, but for me personally, when we were going through, I started listening to the Native Americans, and they're like, oh yeah, it's real simple. Respect. If you go into the woods with a bunch of bears, do you just barrel ass through or do you like, hey bear, let them know you're there and be respectful. So they said, set your intent. So what you were talking about, you know, beforehand, kind of like becoming one with that general area. I do that. I look at, you just look at Google Maps and or get online and look at it and look at pictures and videos people have. I just visualize myself being there. And then as I'm visualizing it, I am like, hey, I'm coming, and I'm coming with friends. And could be a dick move, but like I basically say, like, we are coming. If you don't want us to be, you know, you don't want us to run into you or whatever, then here's the respect. You know, you just got to step out. We're not staying. We can't stay there long. Our little hairless bodies, you know, we get eat up too bad. So I let them know we're coming, and I visualize, and I actually try to visualize like walking with them and among them. So kind of similar to that. And then once you get there, you do it all the way up to there. And once you get there, you get right out, you say hello, you're respectful, I've arrived, and you leave an offering. You just, and like I just tell people, it just has to be something that's special to you. Your kid could have given you a little rock they found in the driveway. Love you, Dita. And then ran off. And it doesn't mean anything, but to you, it holds that love. It holds. And who's to say that doesn't resonate and vibrate in a way? Like, I don't know. But I know that intention is powerful, and I'm going to believe it does. So you leave that as an offering. And so imagine, you know, this creature that can read that and understand it. Maybe they just feel the love on it, you know, or see the color that's emanating from it because you've infused it with this love. But you leave that because it's special. And how often do we just give things up? We only give things up like that to people, for the most part, that we love or like or something. So right away, you're saying your family, and then you leave it. And then you go about your business, you know, and you do your thing, try any techniques or anything you want. And I will tell you, up until that point, minimal interactions. The second that turned on, and maybe it's just that you put more intention to it. There's more focus on it. And maybe it's just focus, just kind of clearing up the radio waves in the channel. So you've got this good beam coming right at you. But whatever it is, it started working. It started working, my friend. Like we would go and we would set up for night, and then they would take off into the woods, and I would just go to the other side of camp, near the river or wherever, near the hill, and I would hear them come crashing down from the top and just stop on the other side in this wall of darkness. I was talking about standing before the wall of darkness and asking for it to call back to you, you know, and they would come. Did I see them? No. Did I hear their breathing? Did I hear them moving around? Did I hear them absolutely? I can tell you, was that's, you know, in those moments, I would just stand there and I would recognize things about me, right? I was still afraid. I was brave enough to go to that spot. I was smart enough to figure that out. But then the second, and we're talking like nothing runs at you in the woods. You talk to hunters, everything, things will slowly move away. Unless you're being stalked by something, nothing comes at you. Nothing's going to come running at you. And these things come like barreling down the ridge, and a lot of time directly in line with the water. Because I make it sound like it's super loud. It's not super loud at all. But if you're listening, if you're the one there, and you know what I mean, it's really loud. And they would just come right up and stand right there and just look at me, and my heart would just start racing. You know what I mean? Palms sweating, arms spaghetti. You know, like you just, because that's the thing. We want it, right? We all want this. That's why we do it. But then once you get close, you will immediately realize that part of you does not want it. You do not want this. It's like, because it all goes through your head. Like, this thing will, if it wanted to, tear you apart. You could have 7 guns in a tank. It's just, oh, there's a tank. We open that up, can of tuna, pop the head off, like no problem. And that comes all, and that floods all through you. And listen, I love horror movies. I love them. I creature features. My brother and I's dream was always just to make creature features, just bring back really good monster movies. But there's a dark side to all that, because it scares you. You watch these movies and you have these horrible images, especially like Jaws. Like I would be in a swimming pool at night and I'm scared that Jaws is going to be in that pool with me. That's how powerful this is. And so we carry all this stuff in our subconscious. So really the goal is, once you become an adult and you become aware, you now have to go back to these beta tapes, not even VHS, that are in there, and you have to take them out and go, I'm not going to be afraid of that anymore. And you put in a new tape. You know what I mean? And that rebuilding, I think, if done correctly, and different for everyone, it'll help you stand there without fear, like you were talking about, where you put yourself into a childlike state where you're just present. So yeah, lots of work to do. That's all I can say. Our culture definitely like winds us up, and then says, good luck figuring anything out, you know? But it's doable, because if I can do it and I'm super hyper, like, anybody can do it, in my opinion.
If you can get calm, you're saying, yeah.
If I can sit there and for a bit, and hold the space, anybody can. I would absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we have danced around this for a while now, and I have the promo for Ci'Tonga. And I want to play that for you guys, and then I want to talk a little bit about that and your thoughts on what these creatures are, as far as relic hominids or spiritual, or what your thoughts are. But we're gonna get to that right after this, because I want to. I had Stacy Brown on my show a couple weeks ago, and this was on his page, and I thought, oh, Stacy Brown's in it, and he's not. Because
he was in the first three. We went once, and then they went a second time.
Okay.
So they kind of laid the groundwork for it. So not in this film, but was in the first ones that are on YouTube.
Okay. All right. And then I was watching it, and then you popped up, and I'm like, well, this is great, because you're going to be on in a couple weeks too. And Eli's in here. And so awesome. So check this out.
Cool.
They've been timing wise really wanted to get their story out there, but what's super important to them is doing it the right way. And I'm trying to figure out through these conversations what is the right way, like what's he getting at.
Men lack wisdom, let him ask, and upbraideth not, and the truth will be given. Faith is like a muscle. You have to build it, man. You have to build upon it. They chose who they wanted to interact with.
Let us know that you're here any way you want to. Man, I'm shaking, dude.
And I guess I'm blessed, to be able to have had that experience.
Someone poked me in the back? Yeah. I did.
Here's what I know. Now what's freaking me out is I saw a lot of lights. I didn't just see the two pairs. There was so many lights that I was like, it just has to be houses, because that's too many lights.
I thought maybe you were shuffling here and Terry was there, and then I took my hood off. Literally, someone was walking right down in there.
Really intelligent beings. They knew who maybe had the truth.
It's compassion for our people is what it is that keeps us going.
Okay. I really started to feel something, and I thought, this is where it's at.
Very cool. I got the chance to watch that, as I said, and it is definitely a very different approach to Bigfooting, and I knew that going in, and it was really interesting, what you guys were able to do there. So talk a little bit about this and how it happened, because the first, well, just specific, like you said, you've been out there a couple times prior to this, but just for this actual documentary and stuff, the first night that you guys go out, they said, don't bring any cameras, don't bring anything, just be yourself. Do you think that helped with the investigation? Do you think that that's why you had more interaction, or do you think that not electronic, but video, audio and stuff, was that holding certain things back for investigating.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you talk to anyone that does it. If you go out with nothing, you have a better chance of things happening. Whatever the equipment is giving off, they can pick up on. Just like your fear, just like whatever, they either see it, sense it, feel the vibrations, who knows. And also, I was talking before, it's about respect. Every hood, there's different things that create respect. And, the first time they went, it was two powerful, headstrong teams, great ideas, great energy, great enthusiasm, but you bang heads. You can't help it, right? You bring people together. That's what happens. So the first adventure really kind of got them to mesh a little. And so when we came back, we learned from that. We learned what buttons to push, what buttons not to push. And the main thing they just kept stressing was they don't feel respected for using prayer as their number one search technique. That's it. That's all you need, they say. That's all you need. And, I was brought up super religious. I'm a very spiritual person, but I don't practice religion like that anymore, So for someone like me who came from it, who moved away from it to try and rebuild my knowledge base, even I was like, I'll do anything else. Telepathy, let's do telepathy, But I'd say the beautiful thing about getting older is you just, the chips you have all here. These are my chips, like I know I'm right. You begin to let them go because you're not. And so you're like, okay, what do you need? How do we respect you? And they said, we want to do it with prayer. So we said, great, teach us. That's another whole thing we can go on mentorship being lost and mass schooling and how it is not good for us. You need mentors. You need people that you feel inspired to be around and inspire you by doing it differently than you and teaching you how to do that. So we rolled in and they said, they're like, listen, I know you're here to film and you're trying to make a movie and that's visual storytelling, but you can't, at least not to start. And probably when it's going to be the best. And you've seen the film, so some amazing things happened. And yes, we were not allowed to film. And yes, I believe that part of the reason those amazing things happened was because of the respect that we had, that we used prayer as a technique, which works there. And that, we didn't have all, you're not standing there going like, hey, all you people, all you things out here that are remaining hidden so no one knows, just pop out now. No big deal, camera, right? Mm-hmm. I think all those things led to what I can only describe as the most active trip, just straight up long weekend I've ever been on, like ever. It was... like poor James. Look at poor James. I mean, that guy was like, okay, I'm going to make myself open to this. And then every female spirit and Sasquatch out there was goosing that guy's butt and lower back. Just, okay, you want to know us? Ooh, you're a cutie. You should see James's back. It's massive. He looks like a young Dorian Yates. I don't know if you guys follow the weightlifting back in the day. But anyway, they mess with him like crazy. And that was bizarre. And then what was neat is by us respecting them and saying, teach us the prayers. We will sit here as you pray and we will stay in that moment with you, They said, okay, well, you can use your spirit box then. You can bring your white man mumbo jumbo in here. And we're like, okay, great. And that was amazing because by having the respect at the forefront, they'd allowed us to play around with some of this technology, and it wowed them. That was... they're on the borderline like that could be a bad practice, so to speak. Like you don't want to invite unwanted spirits and stuff like that. But we help them understand that it's just another communication device. Like you guys have this beautiful prayer. Well, not all of us are trained like that. This kind of helps us, expedite the process, so to speak. And with that, you heard the things we got on that, the answers and all these kind of really intense things that happened. And my personal gift, I'm the guy that, like, if you're at a party and you meet someone new, you're like, what's the matter? Your cat died? And then the girl will go, oh my God, my cat just died. How did you know that? And I'm like, like, that's about the extent of my gift. So I don't really feel things from the house and stuff like that. I just know where to go to be there and present. Well, in one of those houses, it was unnerving. I was standing at the bottom of those stairs and, I try to rationalize it like, well, it was a part with a broken window and this, it's a good spot for wind to come in. It was cold, like took me back to the finding Bigfoot days where you're like right borderline miserable and you're like, oh my God, I didn't wear enough clothes for this. Who knew this was this cold out here, right? And but there was something about that, and we all got it. You saw stuff falling from the ceiling. The spirit box just kept dee. I brought experimental tech, this thing called a beast. That thing was going off. So whatever it was, whether it was, because even they'll tell you, they're not sure if it is Ci'Tonga, which is their name for Bigfoot there, or spirits, because they both can kind of walk in and out of those two worlds. And those are their beliefs. So they're not always sure who they're interacting with, unless it's, something obviously. But we even got that spirit box to say Ci'Tonga. So you're telling me, filtering through all these channels, how many channels out there in the world is somebody saying the word Ci'Tonga? I'd never heard of it until then. And I'm in the space with you. Had you heard Ci'Tonga? Is that specific Bigfoot name of that region? Had you heard of it, Barnaby?
Mm-mm.
I hadn't. I mean, everywhere has its little, regional dialect, which is really cool, but I'd never heard of it. And for that to come up, come on. And then, I keep going back to it, but they took us to the Bigfoot playground, right? And we went there at night. So we weren't able to go there during the day, because you would have seen that, the hills go down, and it kind of goes down into like a ravine area, and the hills come back up. And then way down on the other side is where there's a road and stuff, but it's far away. It's miles. If you'd seen it during the day, it would have been even more wowing. But we were there at night, and they said, listen, we can't film. We're like, okay, we can't film yet. So we just got out, man. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? Because all of a sudden the lights began to, the woods began to look like a Thomas Kincaid. I don't know if you ever, those calendars, Thomas Kincaid, he's an artist. He's just really adept at creating like a dreamy glow, like almost fantasy-ish. And that's what it felt like. And it just opened up, and there was a river, like from so many feet off the ground to like 10, 12 feet in the air. I mean, it's hard to tell, but it was a band of lights twinkling, moving in and out, multicolored, like all these things. And I'm sitting there going, either this is the greatest hoax I have ever been a part, like, and witnessing, or this is the bottom of a mothership, but there was no noise, just in the woods at night. Or because I'd never seen the lights. People see the will-o-wisps and these different things, and you just not like this, not dude. It's Christmas. I've expected Santa to come out and go, oh gosh, darn it, wrong time zone, sorry, and be gone, right? It wasn't. And then you're watching this, and then in the middle of it, there's these two eyes that are moving through it, and they're moving through it, and they kind of come in and out, and you're just like, one was blue and one was more of an orangish red, and they're just moving through it slowly. And I'm watching, I'm like, are those eyes? And now you have to understand, in this moment, we're in the darkness, and we're not shining any lights at them. This is not a reflection of an animal's eyes back at us. Whatever that was creating its own light. So even that, you're like, okay. And then it just kept moving. And I actually moved to the other side of the vehicle. So there was like all the lights here. And then over here, there was just like a few, like, just twinkling out over here. Like, well, I'll be right back, guys. I just got to go potty. And so these lights are out here. And those two the lights come out and they stop. So now I can see them. Now I go, okay, yeah, those are eyes. I wasn't just trying to make something on nothing. And I'm standing there. And wouldn't you know it, the eyes, just two of them just rise up in the air and stop. And I was like, then I was like, what is going on? Like, this is it. This is contact. We're making contact. And then, but in that moment, and out of respect, they said, okay, well, this is their area. They're obviously here. They're obviously having a good time. They've said hello, and now we got to go. And, you're just, for those of us that love this, like, I won the lottery. I had just won the lottery. I was a gazillionaire. I could do this every night for the rest of my, like, I made it. And now it's time to go. And it's an amazing moment, because you have to hold on to what's creating this beautiful moment for all of us. Respect. And you're in somebody else's hood. And when you are there, even if they're dead wrong, which they weren't, but even if they were, you respect them. That's just good advice in any avenue of life, never mind. And so, yeah, we packed up and we drove off, and we were, I don't know, just, you remember when you were like 12 years old and you just came out of a good movie and everyone's just super pumped, like you were just, it was amazing. It was amazing. And I shared that. It wasn't just me there in the woods now coming to the audience and saying, no, this is what happened. I stood there with other people, and we were all just like, pick my mouth up off the ground. Yeah, I that place, there's something really interesting and special. And not to sidebar a little, but all this research and everything, and trying to really learn to stand back and look at it omnisciently and kind of just take all the facts and everything. I think it's the land, man.
I think there's stuff underground, and that's where we all should be focused. I'm not saying they live underground all the time. I definitely think they use it and they move through it and stuff, but it's something to do with the earth. Whether you're in a haunted house, whether you're in a Bigfoot habitat, even I think if you are in a body of water, and you were talking about sea serpents, stuff like that, it's the land. I cannot prove that yet. That's where the technology, you're starting to have LiDAR and different things that you can actually map out and look under the ground. As that comes down more to the commercial level where we can afford it, you're going to see guys out there doing that with the drones, because the drones is getting cheap. So people have awesome drones and stuff. In my opinion, it's still going to be very hard to capture anything. I've always had this dream, right? You have one guy on your team who literally just hangs out. He's like a total rock star, like barely listens to you, but he can fly a drone like Maverick. And you're just waiting. He's just waiting. And you're like, quarter mile out. Oh my God, there's one here. And he's just like, it's my time. And he can race the woods. You know what I mean? That's what you're going to need. You're going to need someone that's spectacular at flying, not one of us who's good. I can fly one. Yeah, it's great. But I can't dance in the woods. And you'll need that. And maybe then. But then you get into all those aspects of Bigfooting that people don't want to touch or can't explain. Like, why is it you could be following it and then it just seems to vanish? Just like it went invisible, like it became a ghost, or it went to another dimension or something like that. Like how do you explain that, right? So, but anyway, I think where drones will help significantly, be it underwater, in caves, or in the sky, is with ground penetrating technology to really see what we're over and what we're under and where the pockets are and stuff in there. Because we can't outrun it in the woods. We can't follow it. We can't track it. That thing's gonna be too quick. But underground, smaller, everything, maybe, maybe. So yeah, I think in the film, the gentleman was also talking about the karst systems and the different types of cave systems underneath that. And one of the interesting things about Nebraska, like maybe you all know this, but in the center of the United States, basically, there is a massive underwater freshwater reserve, like a giant lake, like a bigger than Lake Superior, bigger than, and it's under there. So basically, Nebraska itself is floating. It's like an island. It's like a big floating piece of land. And so, yeah, there's water. And when you have these different layers, this electromagnetic spectrum, and it's coming, how does that big, huge body of water with different types of metallic rock in between, how does that all interfere with us in our own electromagnetic system and stuff? Are we just having spontaneous hallucinations because the air charged just right? The frequency hit this thing and all of a sudden it triggered, like, I don't know. I would like to believe, yeah, there are all sorts of different hominids out there and relic species that we've been led to believe we just wiped out in the breeding war, the Great Breeding War. But no, man, people like to think like everything's been discovered. We've been in all the woods. Most of this world is unexplored. Most of this country will never have us walking through it. Most of it. And I think if you can kind of wrap your head around that, then you can understand how something as large, as a Bigfoot could be hiding, or even other relic dinosaurs could be hiding in areas, because we're just not going to get there, man. We're so soft. We are soft. We're addicted to the fire and the comforts, and that our culture preaches like comfort. You work so that you can relax on the weekend. You work so that you can retire and do nothing, right? We're too busy. We're too busy. So I love what you said about the taking 3 days and just staring at the clouds and just hugging the tree. I can't wait to talk to you about that, off this, and learn more about that, because you may have just found a way that I can get there. And so thank you. But it's all that respect and just fall in love with nature again. Like you just take this and you go, I'm sorry, God, but I have to put you down. I'm so sorry. I love my dopamine rush, but I'm going to go get that from the bees, and yeah, man, be sweet.
That's awesome. So much good stuff, man. Like I could absolutely talk to you for the rest of the day here. There's so much that we haven't even touched on and covered, and just amazing stuff. But if anybody has any questions for you, put them in the comments right now, and we'll get them in before the end of the show here. So make sure if it's a specific comment or something, put it in all caps so I see it right away. And otherwise, right, you got the Gatlinburg, Tennessee convention this weekend, right?
Yeah. Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference this Saturday, man. Come on down, Gatlinburg. It's like a little mini
mini Vegas in the mountains. I don't know. It's just, it's got a lot of character, and come be around your community and be around your tribe. You know, I'll be there. You'll hear me on stage hooting and hollering, being too loud probably. But it's wonderful, and gather up events like there. How do I describe it? It's like working on Finding Bigfoot was a family that I wish I never had to like grow up and leave. I wish I lived close to them. I would work for them full time. They're doing the Alaska Bigfoot cruise. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Marty and Nikki, their whole crew, you know, you just go through life, and there's a lot of people, you vibe, you have some other thing, but there's certain people that you call family. You know, I know they have my back and I have their back. So they're wonderful people, and they put on a great event. I mean, that's what they do, you know, is putting on these happenings, which I think are really wonderful, and bringing us all together. But yeah, whatever you like. I mean, if you're there because you want to learn from the upper pantheon of researchers, you will have that there. You'll have the lecture experience, but you will also have, which I really like, which is the locals and people with real experiences that are having them, that they want an outlet to share. And so you have a lot of that, people picking each other's brains and going around. And I don't know, I love that. You know how it is. You have something happen to you and nobody believes you. And then all of a sudden you're in a place and everyone loves it. It feels good. And you all deserve that. Those of you carrying your stories and your immediate family just all think you're a wacko. Well, you're not. You're not. And you'll be loved there. And also every kind of knick-knack and paddywhack you could ever want. I mean, every time I go to a conference, I go, they're not going to have a new Bigfoot thing that I have to get. They're not. It's been invented. And every time I go, I'm like, oh my God, people are geniuses. I love artistry. And I love that within our particular discipline, there are so many artists, like building from jewelry to pieces of wood art. Yeah, it's just spectacular. And then to set this amazing event where we can share our wisdom and hopefully take us closer to what we're looking for. You're just nestled in an environment where the food's good, the booze is good, the weed's good, whatever you're into is there in the mountains. And it's wonderful. Take a gondola ride up to the top and propose to the woman you love, or the man you love, or the chair that you love, whatever you're into. Just go and be a part of it. And I promise you, if you haven't done something like that yet, and you're kind of on the fence, you will love it. And if you don't, come find me and I'll give you the money. Done. Respect. Yep. Yeah. And not to regress too much, but when we grow up, right? You're a kid, you believe you can talk to animals. You believe, right? But then they encapsulate the whole thing into a movie like Dr. Dolittle, and they make it seem like it's fantasy. Well, it's fantasy. It only happens in there. If any of you, I have nothing to do with this book. It's just how Diablo became spirit. Look up Anna Brettenbach. She's the woman that started me on my journey with animal communication and believing that it's possible to communicate with each other. And I could go real dorking out in this. There's a guy named Dr. Rupert Sheldrake who has proved that there is a connection between dog owners and their dogs that's real. Like you get to go up and leave work, the dog will get up and go to the front door and wait for you. What is that? Why do mothers know when something happens to their child? They pick up the phone. What's wrong? There's a real connection. So animal communication is possible, and they say anybody can do it. This story will open your heart and set you on your journey if you're open to something like that and ready. And I'd love to hear about it. But in a nutshell, basically there was this panther, and it was mean, like vicious, named Diablo, and nobody could go near it. It went from zoo to zoo, where it finally ended up at this like nature preserve with the Santa Claus of all animal whisperers, like just a super kind-hearted guy. And this Diablo hated him. Get the F, like wouldn't go near him. And he was like, oh my goodness, everybody loves me. and they couldn't get near him. So they were desperate. And what's kind of neat about being desperate sometimes? What does it really do? It knocks all your chips off and makes you open-minded. Okay, so what else is there that we haven't tried? They bring in this woman, Anna Brettenbach, who's an animal communicator. And she comes in and she sits with this panther and she talks to him. And she goes, okay. And I'm talking like quick. Imagine if this is really the world. Imagine if we could be living in this world. And I think if more of us believe that this is possible, it will happen. And she goes, okay, two things. When he was at the original zoo, he just wants to know what happened to I forget what kind of cat, but there was another cat in the cage next to him. He just wants to know how they're doing. So they made all these calls to different zoos, found out that it's doing great. And then also said, how would you like it if your name was Devil? And every time people came and looked at you and they pointed at you and called you mean, monster, and devil. I don't like my name. And they're like, okay. So they changed the name of the panther to Spirit. And that cat got up, walked out of its pen that had been hiding in forever, and began to be at peace and respectful to everyone that came to look at it. Now, a story like that either touches your heart because you're ready to kind of like believe again. You're ready, like that wisdom you just shared, just stare at the clouds for 3 days. Like that's like mind blowing in today's culture that you even brought that up. That's mind. Who has 3 days to stare at the clouds? But maybe we need to take that time because that really happened and that's really true. And if that's really true, and then you talk to her, you talk to anyone that does that, and they all say the same thing. Anybody can do it. You just have to get your head out of your ass. That's it. So anyway, that's just another way to like communicate, connect, and to be in the world. And so I used to practice it a lot, and then I fell off. Just kids, everything, it kind of knocks you down. But I've been getting back into it lately. And when I get a little more stuff to happen, I'll start sharing it more. But it's real. So, hey, don't let anyone ever tell you that you can't talk to animals. Don't let anyone ever tell you that you can't find Bigfoot, that you can't figure it out, because you can. You can. And if they do tell them to come talk to me. I'll take them right down. Slam. That's it.
Can you hold up the book again for the people that are interested?
This is just, I'm not pushing the book, although I'm proud of anyone that can put something together and promote something like this. But just remember Diablo the Black Panther, and if you can remember Anna Brettenbach, this story took me on an adventure, and it's opened up some really interesting doors. And if any of you actually go for it, please reach out to me because I would love a mentor. I'd love guidance, and I would love to just be in a community, because it's hard, it's hard to keep stuff up if there's not people around you kind of encouraging you, kind of pushing you forward. I grew up playing team sports, so if I'm not on a team, I'm kind of a libertine, just kind of, hey, let's have some fun. But when I got people around me, it sharpens me in a good way. So anyway, animal communication is real. You can talk to the animals. And hopefully you study enough and you talk to Bigfoot, because that's my goal. Yeah.
Awesome, man. I appreciate your time so much, and just hanging out and talking. And I feel like I got to have you back on again and get more into a lot of this stuff, because I definitely want to know more about like your research, because I know that you go out and investigate and stuff, and you have your own stuff going on too. And we didn't even get into any of that. And so we got.
Can I drop a quick promo real fast?
You got as much time as you want, sir.
Well, I know it's midday. Thank you all for tuning in. But Skunk Ape Experiments 1 and 2 are on Amazon. 3 will be out next month, maybe. You're asking about new research. Okay, so I died on TV, right? So after that, I was like, okay, I'm wide open. Let's try every wild thing we can do, because until somebody, like I said, gets it, we got to try it. And check them out, right? Because you don't need a big time Hollywood budget to go try some pretty radical things. We literally went out and caught a pig barehanded. Okay. Like, people do this. This is their Friday night. Some people go to the bar on Friday. Me, I like to go to see a movie. These people take the girls out and they go catch pigs barehanded. It was the most exhilarating, amazing thing I've ever been. Everyone should do it. Everyone should go. And the goal is to minimize injury to everyone, the pig, the dogs, people. Anyway, spectacular. And then when you caught them, then we built our own homemade tracking collar. Listen, people, I believe I can produce something because I did it as a job. But you don't have to have it as a job to do it. I contacted a company and said, hey, we need some tape that breaks down in a few days with water. They're like, great, we'd love to help you out. Like, wherever your imagination will go, then follow it with your tenacity. And we built a collar, put it on the pig, released it into a habitat that they were supposed to be in. And I won't tell you what happened, but we did that. And that's something you only see on Nat Geo and stuff like that, And so, but we did that. Bunch of Florida rednecks. We did that. So just, you're capable of so much more than you know. Stop waiting for other people to like give you permission. If you're passionate about something, own it, hit it hard, and you won't regret it. You know what I mean? Because worst case scenario, you just have great stories to tell that you shared with your friends, right? But anyway, Skunk Ape Experiments, we push it in all directions in that way. We bring back the old neuronauts and pushing what's beyond the mind and stuff. And dude, we got the Conjuring house. The Conjuring film's coming out, and we did some things in the Conjuring. We did something called the World Gate, where they were actually able to make people jump up and astral project around with just auditory and sight. Like, listen, the world's a big, beautiful place. And if you make the right friends, they are going to encourage you to like find answers and to join the fun. And all I can tell you is that's what Outcast Paranormal is all about, is pushing that envelope until one of us has a breakthrough or one of us dies, in which case we will stop. But yeah, man, lots of good things. Skunk Ape Experiments 1 and 2, a Conjure movie coming out, Ci'Tonga. If you want to see that, if you want to see me cry on film, you can see me cry on film. But it's really touching, man. Respect everyone out there. They're all doing it differently. And if there's anything I learned in this life, is there are a lot of different ways to reach enlightenment. Just, you got to find yours that works for you. And that's it, man. That's it. Peace and love.
Absolutely. Very well said, man. Awesome, man. Where else can people find you? What else you got coming up as far as conventions and website, YouTube, any of that stuff?
It's online, Facebook, Instagram, Outcast Paranormal, myself, Ryan Golembeski, Ryan RPG Golembeski. You can look up Stacy Brown Jr. You can James Barost. There's a whole big bunch of us. But yeah, besides that, like I told you, you'd be looking for a Conjuring film coming out. We're really hoping that kind of, really puts us on the radar. Skunk Ape Experiments 1 and 2, if you want something a little different, if we try to model after graphic novels. It really is a graphic novel. What we do in there is graphic, and it moves. A lot of these docs, which are phenomenal and they're wonderful, they move more along at an investigative journalist kind of a plodding pace, which is wonderful. But we wanted to create something new. We wanted like a new flavor. This is more like being shot out of a cannon and you're just in it. We cut out all the fat. You just it moves. I would argue it's for a younger generation, but it still has all the good things that people love in it, So anyway, yeah, Skunk Ape Experiments, Ci'Tonga, Bigfoot festivals. Come to Gatlinburg. Yeah, like, you will love it, man. You will love it. There's so many good people. We're doing a Bobo lookalike contest. I want to see if anyone can out Bobo me. I was hoping for a moneymaker contest because there's only one moneymaker. That's all I can tell you, man. He is God. He is the devil. He is everything. He is moneymaker. But yeah, that's it. Come, give me a hug. I got a big hug for you if you show up at the convention, and if not, like I said, we just had our fourth baby on the 4th. So besides that, I'll be trying to sneak naps where I can and keep up with the cohabitation here at the farm.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. I look forward to talking to you again and meeting you in person, because I actually haven't met you, I don't think, anywhere. So yeah, well, definitely.
It's a date. It's a date for me. It's a mandate.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I look forward
Thank
to it,
you
man.
so much for having me on. You guys are the cream of the crop, and it's an absolute honor to sit here and rap with you, and hopefully encourage people to try and become a better version of themselves, because if you can do that, I think Bigfoot's right in your backyard waiting.
Definitely. All right, man. Thank you so much again for being on this week.
Yeah. Peace and love. Later.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this week's show. RPG, great guy, great guest today. Hopefully we get him back on here to talk again. Coming up next week, we have Joe Perdue will be our guest. And then the week after that, we have James Brost, who will be back again. You heard a lot of talk about him today on today's show, and the Ci'Tonga and Outcast Paranormal. So he'll be on in 2 weeks, not next week, the week after. Next week will be Joe Perdue. So again, guys, thanks for watching. And until next time, I'll see you out there.